Hello, and welcome to the Divorced Dadvocate, where we help dads navigate through their lives during and after divorce and create an amazing life for themselves. I am Jude Sandval, your host, and my guest today is a professional speaker. Man, this guy's got it all, let me tell you. He's a professional speaker, international best-selling author, teacher, trainer, mentor, coach, and a licensed Thrive program coach with over 30 years experience working in the personal and professional development industry. He is a recovering shy guy with a lifelong commitment to serving and helping others to learn, grow, and develop. I'd like to welcome James Woodworth. James, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks very much for having me along, Jude.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you spending the time. You're in London, correct?
I'm in Cambridge in the UK.
Cambridge, okay. Right, great. Well, I appreciate you being here today in the new year, and we're just kicking this off. We started last week with talking about some of the successes that many of the divorced dads that listen to the show and that I work with have, and some of our goals for going forward this coming year. And one of those is talking to other coaches and other people that can help us on the show to provide some value and some ideas and some tangible ways in which the dads that are going through the divorce or have just recently divorced can utilize. And I was drawn to the Thrive program that you offer because of a couple of things that you mentioned about it and that I've read in your literature about it. And the first thing is that it's not therapy. So, and not that there's anything wrong with therapy, because therapy is very, very helpful and often necessary. But it's, it's not just about self-development or personal development. It's based on over 30 years of clinical practice, and it's evidence-based. So that was really pretty interesting to me in my work. I work with some NLP as well. So if you could first tell me a little bit about yourself and then a little bit about the Thrive program, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, thanks very much. So I really started my interest in helping people to transform really through education. So I was a teacher for 28 years, and I absolutely loved teaching. And I knew when I was quite young that I wanted to be a teacher, partly because I loved learning, really, really loved learning. And I think I felt drawn towards helping other people to learn. But as you mentioned in your introduction, when I was a child and a youth, and as a young man, I was very, very shy, painfully shy. And as a result of that, I really struggled at school, really, really struggled. Not because I didn't understand what was going on. It was because I just didn't feel that I didn't feel that I fitted in, didn't feel that I belonged. I was very, very socially anxious and very, very shy. But I taught myself to overcome my shyness in order to become a teacher. It took me a long time. Never occurred to me that there were coaches out there that could help me.
Right.
So I would strongly recommend get a coach. But no, that was a really important process for me personally, to go through that process of transformation. And I did it because I had a very strong reason for doing so. I really, really wanted to teach, so I had a strong reason to overcome my shyness. So putting myself out there. Your
strong why.
Yeah. I had a very, very strong why. But it was hard. I won't pretend. It was tough. But I overcame it. And when I was teaching, although I was teaching a subject, I was teaching art and design. I think what I was really teaching was teaching young people to believe in themselves, to like themselves, to be able to trust themselves, because I was working with young people who had left school with very few or no qualifications. So I was teaching 16 to 18-year-olds originally. So these were young people that didn't really have much confidence in themselves. And I saw an important part of my role as a teacher wasn't just to teach them a subject, but it was teaching them social skills, teaching them confidence skills, teaching them to like themselves, to believe in themselves, and to know that they could be happy and successful.
Which is something that we don't get from our parents a lot of the time, right? So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's tough being a parent, and but it is tough being a parent. But And it's tough being a teacher, and it's tough being a person growing up in the world. What I realized through the work I did as an educationalist is that those young people were learning a lot, but they weren't learning how to manage their mind. They weren't learning how to manage their emotions. They didn't learn anything about their psychology or about the importance of attitude or mindset. But I kind of knew that was important because I'd sort of discovered that for myself quite early on. So I've always put a lot of time and energy into focusing on that. I moved into teacher education as well, and I was a teacher trainer for about the last 10 years of my teaching life. And again, what I found myself doing really when working with teachers, it wasn't really just teaching them how to teach, it was teaching them how to be resilient, how to be able to manage the stress of teaching, how to manage the workload, how to manage those hard to reach kids that could be really difficult, teaching them how to manage inappropriate behavior. So I've always been interested in teaching people how to be good human beings, how to be good citizens, how to be kind to themselves and to be kind to others, but also how to deal and cope with really challenging situations. And at about 7 or 8 years ago, I left the teaching profession to become a full-time coach, and that's what I've been doing ever since, coaching people and teaching them to thrive.
Great. That's something you mentioned here, which was your personal journey and how you said that you taught yourself through creating these behaviors to not be as shy and to be able to to achieve your why. So it's often, and we talk about this often on the show, that it's the behavior first that then drives the change. It's not just a change in mindset. You don't just say, oh, I'm going to do this, and then it just happens. There's a behavior that has to happen, and then it follows up. It's like, you study to become a coach, but you're not a coach until you're actually coaching.
Yeah, it's all about taking action. A really, really important part of the Thrive program is taking bold, constructive action, because it's what you do that gets you thriving. Because if my clients don't take the necessary action and engage in those behaviors, they will develop an intellectual understanding of what it means to thrive, but they won't feel it at a deep emotional level. They won't actually see that change in their life. And that's where the change actually has to happen, not so much intellectually, but emotionally.
Right.
And that means having to deal with uncomfortable thoughts and feelings. It means putting yourself out there. So that's one of the things that I learned early on is learning to cope and deal with uncomfortable thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
And pushing through until you get there.
Right. And that's and during divorce, it is an incredibly uncomfortable and difficult time period because everything's turned upside down and there's a lot of chaos, and having masculine men and masculine natures, that's uncomfortable because we prefer order and we want things to be more concise and we want to figure it out and problem solve. So, but what it provides, and I often get like a stare from men where I say, this provides you a great opportunity, maybe one of the greatest opportunities you've had since childhood, to really learn and understand about yourself and then make that change in your life, because here you're faced with this.
Yeah, exactly. So anybody going through a relationship, anybody who's having difficulties in their relationship, if a relationship's breaking down or they're going through divorce, they will experience pain.
Yes.
They will experience pain. They will feel bad. They will feel uncomfortable thoughts and feelings such as hurt and rejection. It's inevitable. But I think the skill is not denying those feelings, but accepting them as being part of the process and learning to accept them. Because if you can't, you'll be scared of them and you won't want to feel them.
Right.
And I'm afraid it doesn't work like that. Life is going to throw at us all sorts of challenging events. We don't want these things to happen, but we might find ourselves having to confront challenging situations. And it's counterintuitive. So, I think it's a question of walking towards what scares you, walking towards what causes you pain and dealing with it.
Yeah.
Rather than walking away from it and trying to avoid it.
Right. For me, that was a big aha moment in my life, and it was way post divorce, right? Because I did pretty much everything wrong possible that I could, post divorce, as far as like getting my life back together and dating and all of that stuff. And it was mostly avoiding all of that pain, right? Because you said it's counterintuitive. So you're thinking, okay, you don't want to avoid it. You want to figure out how to get past it, or for me, it was like grind through it. But the aha was, oh, okay, this is life presenting me with an opportunity to look at this and then embrace this and then work through it.
Yeah. It's like having those uncomfortable conversations. Nobody wants to have them, but they're also necessary if you're going to work through what it is that's bothering you. So when I was really, really shy, obviously I wanted to avoid any situation that might lead to embarrassment or me being judged.
Sure.
And that's one of the things that I learned to confront. I actually put myself out there and volunteered to speak and volunteered to talk, because I knew I was going to have to if I was going to be a teacher. And I screwed up, and my mind went blank, and I blushed and I stuttered. I made a fool of myself.
Right. We all do. Right.
Right. But I learned to tolerate it. It wasn't that bad. Nobody laughed at me. Nobody thought I was an idiot.
And you're alive, right? You're here. You're alive.
Nobody's ever died of embarrassment.
Well, and that's the thing. Nobody's ever died of, like, most of this stuff. We're going through difficult, painful things, and there are feelings that are coming up. But, we've got the strength and the power within us to get through any and all of this stuff. And the world is presenting us this opportunity at this time, through this challenging period, for us to be able to say, oh, okay, yes, this is it now. This is the opportunity I've been waiting for. And wow, we can really, if I embrace this pain, if I really dig into this and go deep into this and stop avoiding it, that there's going to be a huge reward on the backside of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't have to like it. You don't have to welcome it. You just
it sucks.
You just have to accept it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just keep pushing through until fear no longer has the power to hold you back.
Sure.
Because that's what it is. I mean, a lot of people's limiting beliefs, and they're self-sabotaging and holding themselves back. And it's a fear-based response. And it's understandable, because, of course, people want to avoid pain.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. You said just accept it. So how do we accept the fear that we're experiencing, and then also, like, be able to just rationally with our minds go forward in this process?
Well, I think that's what you've just said is really part of the answer. It's a rational approach, really, because the nature of life is this. Life is tough. Life is challenging. People will let us down. We will feel hurt. That's reality. So I think what we're actually doing is we're accepting reality. We're accepting ourselves. We're not perfect. Other people aren't perfect. The world isn't perfect. But unfortunately, we have a tendency to put these unrealistic demands upon ourselves. We expect so much of ourselves and so much of other people and so much of life. And we can't live up to the high expectations we have of ourselves more often than not. And other people very often don't. And the world doesn't live up to the high expectations. So I think it's good to have expectations and to want to be successful in life. But I think we've got to get a balance between determining what it is we want for ourselves, while simultaneously understanding that the world doesn't know us anything. And the world may not deliver what it is we want. So I think one of the ways we can be more accepting is to have preferences rather than insistencies and demands. So rather than saying, I demand that people accept me and are kind to me and love me, is more to say, that's what I would like, that's my preference, but I cannot insist upon it.
Right. So we talk about creating a vision and direction here, and so it sounds like through the Thrive program, or I have 5 steps that we've gone through on this show: creating a vision and direction, strategizing your actions, optimizing your environment, stuff like that. Having a structure around how you do that with a coach, and one of the things that I if I could go back and potentially change, would be getting involved with therapy, and we talk about this on the show, like, or a coach or somebody that, because there are systems out here that can help immensely in reducing the pain, in the sense that it's going to help you address areas and directions in which you need to move and have a systematic approach, which is another really good thing for men, because it helps knowing what your step is or what the next step is and what you're doing. Having and working with somebody that's going to take you through that, somebody like you that's gone through it, somebody like me that's gone through it, somebody that's trained, whether it's a therapist or coach, or even if you go through a recovery program as well. If you don't have the resources, getting into a recovery program that helps you go through some steps that help you address this stuff.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. You do need to have goals. You do need to have desired outcomes and a vision of what it is you want, and to have a step-by-step process. But also it's a question of enjoying that journey and understanding that the journey may not be as smooth or as problem-free as you would like it to be. So it's about adapting as well.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I know myself and most of the men that I talk to aren't enjoying the divorce process journey that much. But again, it's confronting that pain, that fear, that uncertainty, that chaos. And looking back, I think it will be for many, as it is for me and others that I've talked to, an important process. And I don't know that I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I say just enjoying that journey and that part of the process.
I think what I mean is enjoy the learning.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah.
It's a learning journey, and enjoy the learning, because as you referred to earlier, when you go through these kind of experiences, even though they can be very, very painful, you can learn a huge amount about who you are. And that's invaluable, because we know that people who go through really traumatic events can be transformed and can be a better person post-traumatic growth. We know that people can actually describe themselves as being better people.
Yes.
Now, nobody would want to go through what they went through, obviously, but it's interesting how people adapt to challenging events and come out of it the other side better and stronger than they were previously.
Right. You said exactly what I was going to get to, which is the learning part of it. Then at the end is what is so gratifying and makes it worthwhile. And then it becomes an enjoyable life, because it's so much fuller and it's so much better, because you have so much more knowledge and understanding and abilities and skills to go forth in your life. So yeah, that's absolutely true. So tell us maybe a little more details about the Thrive program, maybe some of the steps and how that's beneficial.
Okay, so the Thrive program, as you mentioned earlier, it's not therapy or counseling. It's a psychological training program. It's an evidence-based training program. It's very structured. It's module. There are 8 modules to complete, and we usually complete that within about 8 weeks. It's a psychological training program. So we teach people the basic components of what constitutes a thriving mindset. This starts off really by the clients actually doing a short profile with us, so we get an indication of what their belief systems are, what their thinking styles are, for example. And that gives us a lot of insight into why they've got the symptoms that they might have, for example. So we don't focus on the client's past, we don't focus on the circumstances of their life as such.
Right.
We look at their mindsets and we explore the extent to which their beliefs or their ways of thinking might actually be holding them back in some way. And then the client systematically learns how to challenge and change those irrational, unhealthy beliefs into empowering beliefs that enable them to thrive in life.
So essentially you're reprogramming their minds. I mean, you can think of it from a computer perspective, like you're going through you could rewiring.
I guess so, although I think when we talk about, the mind having been wired, that's almost as if it's like been programmed at birth. And I like to see it more as whatever irrational or limiting beliefs the client might have, that they've actually been learned over a period of time and kind of been wired into their brain. I mean, it's a useful analogy, but I don't really like to see the the mind as being like a computer, because
Sure. Well, computers are only as good as the input that the programmer puts into it. So it could be bad code. It could be whatever was poorly put into the computer or got a virus, and the virus could be the learned experience that has become that was a survival technique, that was an adaptive behavior that you've had throughout your childhood, that then in your adult relationships and in your adult life is then not serving you.
Yeah. The clients may very well have some core beliefs that were laid out in childhood, and they may feel reluctant to let them go. But we're really working on the idea that a lot of it is learned behavior,
right?
That we learn to develop these beliefs and ways of thinking, and we can learn to change them. And it's not necessarily as difficult as a person might think.
So let's talk a second then about how quickly people can get results around this, because it sounds like it's a very similar philosophy and way which that I'll work with clients, and that is, we don't have to dive into minutia and detail of your past in order to get an understanding of where you're at now and results moving forward, because again, that behavior is going to change what's happening in your mind and in your life. And so let's talk to that, and not diminishing therapy, because I've done therapy, I do therapy. It's very important for some aspects in my life. It's important for some aspects in some people's life. But what I want to emphasize and have you share is that you can get immediate results in your life through processes like this.
Yeah. I'm not anti-therapy either, or
Sure.
anti-counselling. I mean, there's some brilliant work being done by some great therapists and counsellors. One of the reasons why I don't take a therapeutic approach is because I'm not a trained psychotherapist.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a trained teacher. I'm a trained coach.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. So I just see transformation as being an educational process. That's just the particular modality that I'm interested in. But I've seen how coaching can be very powerful in bringing about change, in the way in which it can encourage clients to think about the nature of their thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So teaching people to tune in to the nature of their beliefs as it might be represented in their self-talk, for example, and getting them to question the nature of that self-talk. Where is the evidence to support that belief that you have about yourself? Is that really true?
Right.
Is that way of thinking helpful?
Right.
And again, it's just that kind of questioning of the nature of your thinking, where the client might think, no, well, now that you put it like that, no, maybe you're right. Maybe there isn't any evidence to support this belief that I have, that I'm unlovable. Maybe I am just beating myself up unnecessarily. Maybe I am giving myself a hard time. And as you seem to be suggesting, it is actually really quite unhelpful, really, isn't it? Because, here I am developing this really negative image of myself, and actually I can find very little evidence to support the fact that there are other people out there who agree with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So and it's that kind of questioning of the nature of a person's thinking that can help to bring about that change. Because sometimes people make assumptions. A person might assume that the weather affects their mood. They might wake up on a cold, damp winter's day, notice that they feel sad, and come to the conclusion that
Right.
the weather is making them sad. Not really.
Right.
Maybe it's the way you're thinking about the weather that's making you sad. Maybe it's your thoughts. Maybe you're actually creating the sadness. It's got nothing to do with the weather.
Yeah,
You can't change the weather, but you can certainly change the way you think about it. And
Right.
if you change the way you think about the weather, you can change the way you feel, and you can overcome your sadness just like that.
Right. And we tell ourselves all kinds of different things and different stories.
The weather's awful, yeah. Or going through a divorce is awful, it's horrendous, it's the end of the world. Well, we've already established that it is painful and difficult. Yes, we understand that. But is it really the end of the world? Is it absolutely horrendous? Is it the worst thing imaginable? Or is it just a very challenging and unpleasant situation that you are able to deal with?
Right. And the other thing that I like about this mindset is also it's operating in the present moment. It's like it's addressing what's happening now, It's not, it's not going back. It's not going backwards. Not that going backwards. Again, working with, some of the best work that I have with clients is where they're working in therapy as well as in coaching, because then they're working every aspect of what it is that they need to work through to figure out and understand and move forward. But the part that I really appreciate and I like about the coaching aspect is we're working backwards from a goal, from where you want to be in the life that you want to live, and then you're working in the present moment of how to move forward towards that. And they're finding all of this research and understanding about how the brain works, and that is the most effective way, to create the change you want in your life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that the past doesn't matter, but we can't go back and change the past.
No, right.
And worrying about it's not going to help.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the future is going to bring. So what does that leave us with? All it leaves us with is the experience of the present moment. And if you can learn to live your experiences in the present moment and make the most of each and every day, then each and every day you will feel empowered and optimistic, which means you will be moving forward towards a better future, feeling more powerful and in control than you would do if you were worrying about things all the time.
Absolutely. So on that note, I want to leave it out about the Thrive program, but I wanted to ask you two questions before we wrap up here. And the first one was, in 2020, because now we're in the new year, what was your biggest and best takeaway of the year? And then for 2021, for James, for James and moving forward in this year, what is your vision and direction?
Well, in terms of last year was just a brilliant example of the fact that it's never the circumstances that we find ourselves in that disturb us. It's always the thoughts, the beliefs, and the perceptions we have of those circumstances. So, I chose to see my circumstances, the circumstances I found myself in a powerful way, and so came through the year feeling optimistic and positive. And that's the mindset that I'm going to take through into this year. I've got no control over what's going on in the world around me at the moment. The UK is going through a very, very challenging time with the pandemic at the moment, a really, really challenging time. There's very little I can do to influence that. But what I can do is take control of how I'm choosing to perceive what's going on around me. And that's how I'm going to keep moving forward in the future. Not worrying about the things I can't control, just focusing on the things I can control, which is what I think and feel.
Absolutely. Very, very well said. So, James, how can we support you? Where can we find you and get in touch with you?
Well, anybody that would like to get in contact with me to discuss the Thrive program can contact me through my website, which is jameswoodworth.com. I'd love to be of service to any of your listeners.
And I know on your website that you've got a great free webinar there to tune into. I watched it. It was very informative and useful. And so I'd highly recommend anybody taking a look at that and sitting through that. I think it's only about a half hour, 45 minutes, and it's just packed full of a lot of fantastic information.
Thank you very much.
And you could always also visit the divorceadvocate.com as well. And if you enjoyed listening to us today and found some value, please leave a nice review on whatever podcast platform you might be listening to. Give us a star rating. Go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a comment as well. And get in touch and share this with all the other divorced dads that you know out there. So, James, I really appreciate you being here today and all of your expertise and your wisdom and sharing that with us today on the show.
Thanks very much, Jude. It's been great being here.
All right. Take care. Happy New Year. I look forward to talking again soon.
Bye-bye.